In this lesson, we're going to talk about how to work in an open source software project. It's important to understand the ecosystem, the community, and the methods of any project before diving in. This is a question simply of respect. First, you need to investigate the project, understand its style, what the workflow is, what the scope of the project is, so that you don't try to bring in things that don't belong in the project, or at least without requesting that people consider it. See what communication methods the project use. Usually there's mailing lists, there are archives of mailing lists so you can see the history. There may be chat rooms that you can plug into. How are contributions made? Are they done through a revision control system such as Git, or are they done through email, etc.? Learn the previous history. Many projects have veteran contributors who volunteer their services as mentors to new participants in a project. In the long run, this saves time for everybody and causes less friction. Before beginning to code, it's often good to volunteer your services for testing, finding bugs, etc. This is one place that projects are often short on help. Don't use the project to learn a programming language or scripting language, or at least don't ask for help for that. That's not what the project is doing. It's important to ask for review and suggestions early when you start to contribute, and don't wait too long and then dump a lot of work on people at once, since they will not be able to digest it. Being polite, respectful, avoiding contentious discussions, and certainly not using obscenities or other bad behavior and trolling is important to take into account. The project has its own DNA. There's already an established community and ethos. There's a leadership structure. Make sure you understand what it is. Know where the project came from. Has it changed a lot since it began? Is this a large project, a small project? Is it very active, or is it pretty much quiet has sporadic bursts of activity? Is it have a collective or singular governance structure? In other words, is there like a committee that decides everything, or one or two individuals that make the final decisions? And what kind of license does the project use for its software? Does it require contributors to sign an agreement assigning their rights, or does it not? Remember, most open source projects start out nicely and never really take off. It takes a particular opportunity of a need for a project, as well as good governance and good contributors, to make something succeed. Most projects fail, but that's fine. Most contributors get involved in open source projects because they have a reason to. There may be some bug or a problem that interferes with their use. They want to learn or add some new functions to their work, or they just want to learn something new. So it's very important to figure out what itch you want to scratch when you join a project. There's often a list of relatively simple cleanup kind of things to do, or other simple tasks, sometimes called a janitor's list. This is a good thing for people to do when they start. And it's also important that you shouldn't just start with trivial patches that maybe change white space in code or other things. While these things will be accepted, it's very hard to find people who eventually went on to become important contributors who started out with this kind of trivial work. So that's beginning to talk about how you should work in an open source project. We will get into more detail shortly.